Hey everybody. So thank you for being here today. I'm glad we're able to meet. Before we dive into our usual, sort of check-ins, I wanted to take a moment and talk a little bit about something that I'm noticing that has shown up in group. And honestly, it's really common in counseling, and it's something called transference. Do any of you know what that is?
I think so. Isn't it when you kind of like project stuff onto other people?
Yes, Katie, thank you. Basically, that's correct. And it's really when we start to react a certain way towards like another person or, someone that we might have an interaction with, as if they were someone that we've kind of dealt with, in our past, like in other relationships. So, for example, like a parent, or maybe a guardian or something like that. And because they raised or conditioned you like a certain way, it has affected really how you interact and communicate with other people. And so, since each of you was raised by single mothers, that's kind of the theme of our group here, and from different cultures, it makes sense that some of those feelings about how to respond show up here in our sessions.
That actually makes sense, because in our sessions, I thought about how you actually might be disappointed in me because I really don't talk too much. That's how my mom used to act. She didn't like that I was quiet growing up, and she'd always complain that I didn't open up too much to her.
Yeah, I can relate. I mean, sometimes I feel like I need to say the right thing in here. And, if I don't, I'll be seen as disrespectful. And, I come from a Mexican American background and I have like a big respect for my background, my family, and, I have that respect for the elders, the family that I have. So, I just sometimes I feel like I always need to say the right thing.
Yeah, thank you, Winter, for sharing. And Sahar, I completely understand where you're coming from as well. Typically in Latino households, there's this emphasis on what we call respeto, which it just means respect, and it's typically something that is it's very cultural and it's very common, and it's just the sense of respect and the show of respect for um, just your family, specifically your elders, anybody who is older than you in your family. It could be your parents, obviously your grandparents, your aunts. And so when you grow up with that kind of culture, um, it can feel uncomfortable, definitely to question or even to express maybe your frustration that you're feeling. Um, because you think that you might disappoint somebody or that you might be disrespectful because you're bringing up those things that you're feeling. And so, for me, as your counselor, I want you to know that I respect that. And I'm not here to push you to talk until you feel ready and you feel comfortable. I've always kind of wanted to work this group in a way that is really felt as a safe space for all of you. I might probe a little bit here and there and ask maybe more questions to kind of uh, maybe get you to open up. I might say, like, does this remind you of how this felt for you growing up? Like, what's going on? And maybe we can talk a little bit more if you're ready and if you feel like you want to. It's okay if you don't too, also, but at least it'll get you kind of thinking in that direction.
Yeah. Um, I'll say I feel like I always have to be the nice one. Like even if I don't feel a certain way or if I don't feel like agreeing with someone, I feel like I have to. I'm kind of worried that if I speak my mind or if I say an opinion that's different than someone's, I'm gonna, you know, be the difficult one, or people are going to leave, and that makes me really nervous. So I feel like I really just have to be like such a people pleaser.
Yeah, Katie, I completely understand that. And I think that it's also very common. So thank you for sharing that, especially if you grew up, really being the one to keep the peace at home. Um, and this is also maybe where, for me as your counselor, something called counter-transference comes in, right? Because we talked about the transference uh, between the group members, but also it can come from myself. So, right, as your counselor, it might be something that I start to project onto you all, right? And so I think that's when really I start to react and I think about, well, maybe not think about my own upbringing until I catch it myself. But for example, I grew up in my household being the one to kind of fix everything. And so I might feel that pressure to try and jump in right away and to try and find a solution for you or for anybody here in this group. And I might just, you know, over suggest things instead of just taking a step back and really kind of letting you speak your mind and listen to what's going on and what's coming up for you. And I'm aware of this. So it helps because I can take that moment to pause and catch myself. But it's something that took practice. And I just kind of want to make you all aware that it could happen. I'm trying to not let it happen, but it's something that exists. And so it's something that it is common in counseling, specifically for, group counseling. So understanding transference and counter-transference is really helpful because we can see why some conversations or interactions start to feel just really heated, maybe, or intense, I should say. And it's normal, right? Because we're all coming from different backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, which is just really ingrained in us. So, yeah.
Okay, so if I do get triggered here, it doesn't mean that I'm just completely doing therapy wrong then?
Oh, not at all. And
Okay.
thank you for saying that also, Winter, because I think it's really important to, have that transparency and to bring up your concerns. And when things don't feel like maybe they're going the right way or you're not feeling comfortable, it's good to bring that up. And I think that getting triggered is part of the process. And it's your mind really kind of saying, hey, something's making me feel a certain way. And naturally, you want to act in a way that is normal to you. Um, but if we can all just slow down and ask ourselves maybe like why we think we feel that way instead of just kind of jumping to judge someone else's thoughts or just kind of how they're raised, I think we can start to feel more comfortable in having these conversations. And it'll take time. It won't happen in one session. But if we keep working together and agree that this is a safe space and take that time to really just open up and also to just take the time if you're not feeling ready to let me know. And we can kind of slow the pace down and pick it up as we start to feel more comfortable. I think once we have a better handle at that, I think we can slowly grow from our experiences and just in our relationships in general. So thank you all.
Great. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
You.
you. I feel like I have a much better understanding of transference and everyone else here. So I'm excited for next time.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
me
Thank you,
too.
Katie.
Same here. Thank
Thank
you
you
so much,
all.
Evelyn.
Thank you,
All right.
Evelyn.
All right.
See you
Bye-bye.
guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.